I thank the organizers of Sabhyata Adhyayana Kendra for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts for the learned gathering. The topic of my presentation is the journey to the abode of Yama as depicted in Indus. Over 3,000 tiny seals, 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters and weighing 9 to 10 grams approximately, have been unearthed in Indus Valley Harappan sites. They depict mysterious symbols, the picture of different animals and human figures. The seals are highly sophisticated heritage artifacts which mirror the religious, social, intellectual, and cultural excellence of the ancient Indus Valley civilization. It's done both in picture and symbols form inscribed on it. The reason for symbolic representation, we all are aware of that. The script of the language had not yet evolved. My analysis on what the seals communicate is based on the knowledge of the Vedas, the deities, rituals, and lifestyle of Indus Valley civilization. The seals are one of the archaeological clues that prove the ancient civilization that was in Bharatavarsha around 5,000 years back. The theme of the seals reflects the spirit of an age in which the intellectual activity was concentrated on the rituals of yajna and sacrifices. Deities, mantras, and performance of rituals were the 3 fundamental units of yajna. Yagnas were in 3 varieties called Haviri Yagna, Soma Yagna, and Guhya Yagna. Haviri Yagna was the installation of fire in altars and offering of havis as an oblation. It involved the participation of 4 priests. Soma Yagna was a large-scale performance of Yagna, which was observed for many days, mostly sponsored by kings and performed by 16 priests. Guhya Yagna, the domestic rituals, were performed by the Yajamana of the house. Each of the 3 major categories had 7 sub-varieties called samskars. My presentation today is on death rituals, is classified under the 3rd category, the Guhya Yagnas. Now, slide 1, please. The topic of Guhya Yagna in Gritya Sutras, the domestic rites, involves the various consecrations from birth to death called samskaras, and also involve agricultural rites, harvest offerings, seasonal ceremonies, etc. The rituals of disposing the dead body were also part of Guhya Yagna. The post-death rituals that ensured a safe passage of the dead ones to the other world are discussed in Gritya Sutras, which is the functional manual of domestic rites and related to samskaras. Today's presentation is only related to the last part of our Guhya rituals observed within the first days after death, called Antyeshti. One of the most significant categories of Guhya domestic rites or the funeral rites called Antyeshti. It is the concluding chapter of worldly career and separation of the soul from the body. Many seals of Indus period are related to the topic of post-death rituals, the abode and status of soul after death. The seals do not have depiction of dead body in physical form, but some related aspects like the depiction of Pitrus, the transportation of body to cremation place, the procedure of laying the dead ones, depiction of their abode and post-death annual rituals of Shraddha are depicted in seals. Now, slide 2, please. I have attempted to correlate the 3 aspects, like the Vedic knowledge, the depiction in seals, excavated burials. In the Vedic knowledge, I put Ṛgvedic and Yajur Vedic, Vedic hymns related to death rituals are presented. In the 2nd category of seals, I have presented seal pictures which have the depiction of death rituals. And thirdly, the excavations of buried or cremated bodies that support the explanation of the Vedic procedures are correlated. Some of the excavations at the popular Indus sites like Dholavira, Alibangan are about the burial spots along with skeletons. The information contained in Vedic hymns about the dead fathers correlates with the seal pictures and burials excavated in Indus Valley sites, exposing the skeletons of Indus Valley period. The research presentation deals with only some seals that depict the Pitrumedha rituals that are associated with the cremation or burial of dead person. Now, slide 3, please. The topic is discussed under 7 sections. Firstly, I discuss who are Pitrus, why death rituals were observed, and where was the resting place and abode of Pitrus, etc. Secondly, how the mains, the forefathers, are represented in seals. Third point is transportation of dead body of preta to cemetery called Pitrumedha ritual. Fourth point is Astisanchayana and Punardhana, deals with the laying of bones or the rite of reclamation of partially burnt bones in burials or re-burning of bones. Then fifthly, Smashana, the crematorium for burial and cremation. Then sixth point is Lostachiti in excavations, the rite of piling up of stones, clods of earth, or unburnt bricks into a mound over the bones of the deceased. Then the last point will be double burials. Now coming to the first point, who are Pitrus? After their demise, the deceased body was called preta, and after the completion of related rituals, they were called Pitrus. Since the topic of death rituals starts from preta state and continues as Pitrus, it is essential to know how they were addressed in Vedas and picturized in seals. The belief system and rituals of death varied between Ṛgvedic and post-Ṛgvedic descriptions. According to Ṛgveda stanzas on Yama and fathers in Mandala 10 and Sutta 14 and verses 10 to 15, the spirit of the dead becomes Pitara immediately after death. Pitara was used as a plural form for dead father, mother, paternal, forefather, ancestors, or any related person, taken collectively the means. The abode was the highest heaven, bright with glory. The deceased was believed to wear another body to start the journey to reach the upper kingdom of Yama. The last rites, funeral rites of Antyeshti were performed for Pitrus. However, according to Yajur Veda and Depicted Sutra, the belief changed that the men soon after death were called preta, and they entered the zone of Pretaloka. They stayed there for some period till Shraddha rites were performed to release them from preta status, after which they entered the Pitruloka. The practice of group rites called Ashtaka, Ekadishta, Shraddha, Sapindikarana, all the rituals of 7 days, 9 and 10 days were established in Grihya Sutras as death rituals. The elaborate Shraddha rituals were extended up to 1 year period. It is interesting to know why the funeral rites, Pitrumedha and Antyeshti, were performed for Pitrus. Many samskara associated with rituals were performed in everybody's life, of which the last rite after death of the body was called Antyeshti, the funeral ceremony. Much importance was given to this as it enabled the dead to enter the Pitruloka. As the next world was believed to be a replica of this world, and everything required to start a new life was offered to meals, which can be seen in the form of various pots that were placed near the head of the buried body in burial excavations. The belief was that, alienated from survivors, the soul may cause injury to the family, or it was still connected not only with the members of the family, but also with the property or gains that was accumulated. Beyond the fear of dead body, the affection and love of blood relation also made the survivor to care for the welfare of the departed. The belief was with a view that dead must be provided with the same things as they enjoyed in the world. Hence, a formal farewell was offered to the departed soul. Now, slide 4. Slide 4, please. The funeral rites were considered inauspicious, as it was for a state of spirit, the preta sharira, the lifeless body of departed father. Bharadwaja Pitrumedha Sutra 1.1.15 confirms this. The rite of cremation immediately after death in Pitrumedha rituals involved preta shaucha, the purification after death. The dead body was prepared elaborately, like purifying with water, trimming the nails, shaving the hair, adorning with new clothes, etc. Sometimes the entrails were also removed and filled with aja, that is clarified butter, ghee, before being consumed by fire as a purification method. The Pitrumedha rituals are an expression of respect for Pitru through religious rituals. Seeking blessings from Pitru is described in Ṛgveda and picturized in the seals in metaphysical form or atibhautika. Slide 4. I present the physical and the metaphysical form of Pitru. The Pitru is presented in a pictorial form. Figure 1 is the excavation of burial, indicate the food offered in many pots for the means. The gift for the dead ones are not sent by Agni to be conveyed, but were deposited in the pits dug in crematorium. Figure 2 is how the Pitrus were visualized according to the description of Vedas and depicted in seals in a picture form. According to Ṛgveda, the body of the deceased was cremated and later the bones were buried. Later begins the journey of preta entering the next one. So, Pitrumedha involved 3 major steps. Antyeshti, that is carrying the body to Smashana and crematorium, cremation of the corpse. Secondly, Astisanchayana, the gathering of bones. And thirdly, Lostachiti, the piling up of earth, were the 3 major steps of death rituals. Now, to where was the journey of Pitrus? This is regarding the concept of another world as the abode of Pitru. Yama was revered as the king of dead ones, originally who was first to die and showed the successor souls the path and place of the new abode. It was mentioned in Vedas that many kinds of beings were created to live on earth, below the earth, above the earth, are graded according to their properties. Pitrus belonged to the strata Pitruloka. That was the abode of Yama, were placed above the earth zone. Pitruyani was the term used. Yana means the path to ascend to Pitruloka, the abode ruled by Yama. Ṛgveda 10. Mandala 10.14 begins with the hymn, honor the king with thy oblations, Yama, firstborn sons, who gathers men together, who travel lofty heights above us. The above portion of Ṛgveda clearly indicates that people believed in an upper world ruled by Yama to be the abode of Pitru. Atharvaveda 18.2 indicates Yamaragnaha Pitrum Gacha, the abode of Pitru to be in the world of Yamaraja, who was called the Pitrurajan also. Now, coming to the second point, who means forefathers are represented in seals. The domestic rituals in Rishya Sutras mention a lot about forefathers and performance of Pitru rituals to be mandatory. Depiction of dead ones is a very abstract concept and tough to give a form to the formless. The knowledge and a detailed description about the names that has been described in Vedas are adopted in seals to give a pictorial representation, because Indus seals depict many deities, performance of yajnas. The depiction of Pitru in all Pitru-related seals has similar representation of long arms, hand gesture, the sitting posture on the branch of a tree, and the presence of a tiger. This all will be discussed. These four depictions are repeated in all Pitru-related scenes. Now, slide 5, please. In the slide 5, I show the depiction of sitting posture and the tree of Pitru scenes. Now, regarding the arms, after the release from the Manusha Loka, Pitrus ascend to Pitru Loka. Pitru then gets the special capacity of movement. The knowledge and bliss portion enhanced as they ascend from Manusha to Pitru Loka to Brahma Loka, and acceptance of offering from wherever they are. The higher abode was depicted as a branch of a tree, which was in Akasha above the earth. The extra long arms were meant to indicate that they had the special power and could access the essence of offerings of food from any height. This power is expressed in the sealed pictures of Pitrus with extra long arms. The figures in all seals of Pitrus show the hand of Pitru typically representing the Pitrutirtha hand position. The part of the hand between the forefinger and the thumb, this part, is depicted, which is considered sacred for males to give oblations and to receive blessings from them. Oblation to mains are called Pitrudhana or given in Pitrutirtha hand gesture. Pitrus achieve great power to bless their progeny, hence they are invited in almost all rituals with offerings of oblations. Now coming to sitting posture, Ṛgveda Mandala 10.15.6 to 11 are about the forefathers. It says, Archajanu Dakshinatu. That means bowing your bended knees and seated on left leg. That is, bending the knees is called Archajanu. Bowing your bended knees and seated on left leg, accept the sacrifice of ours and punish us not for any sin. All the seals with Pitru depictions are depicted in the same sitting Archajanu posture of bended knees and seated on one leg. Now, regarding the tree, the form of Pitru in the metaphysical form have their abode in mid-zone, hence depicted to be seated on the branch of a tree. The tree is red silk cotton tree, also known as Yamadruma tree or Shalmali tree. Botanical name is Bombaxiba. Is the tree where Brahma rested for a while. Hence, it's a favorite place where Pitrus dwell. The tree has lot of conical thorns. I have presented the seal picture and the tree picture, which is explained even in Mahabharata that it is a torture for evil spirits to go near this tree. The picture of silk cotton tree is provided here as picture 2 and can be seen in full bloom. The branches of Yamadruma tree, that's silk cotton tree, are mostly horizontal extensions. And exact branching is depicted in all seals where Pitru is sitting. Now slide 6, please. Slide 6. I explain the depiction of states of Pitrus in seals. The 3 states of Pitrus, even though all 3 figures, in all 3 pictures presented have the same sitting posture, long arms, hand gesture, tree and tiger turning its head and looking at the Pitru, the inscription on top varies. Various terms were ascribed to different stages of or the status of spirits called Atishvata, Parhishat and Soma for Pitrus, depending on the period, the merits gained in their life and status after that. In the first picture, you can see a single circular mark, very small single circular mark near the hand. It is 10 in the second picture and not there at all in third picture. The first 2 pictures indicate the freshly born status, and the facial feature is not defined but looks like lines radiating. Face is well defined in the third picture. Now, understanding the three states, that is Agnishwata Pitrus, or whom Agni has tasted, means freshly cremated state. Rigveda Mandala 10.15 and 11th verse says, fathers whom Agni's flames have tasted, come, eat the sacrificial food presented on the grass, grant riches with Swadha. The preta ones that had died recently were not invited with gods, either for oblations or in Parvana celebrations. At the end of the meal, they are sent away politely with words like Swadha. Did you like? Did you enjoy the food? Then the Pitrus return after a month. The second category is Barhishat Pitrus. Barhishat Pitrus are the means after 1 year of death who are invited in Parvana celebrations are asked to be seated on the mat of pushar grass to receive oblations, which is fed on Barhis grass. Rigveda Mandala 10.15 says, Barhishado ye Swadhaya Sutasya Bhajanta. Then the third category, Somapa, are the specific highest class of Pitrus, having gained merits of performing Soma rituals in their life, were called Somit, and hence were invited during Soma rituals. They are eligible to drink Soma in Soma Yagnas. Rigveda Mandala 10.16 on forefathers says, who had performed Soma Yagnas were invited to enjoy the pressed juice of Soma as oblation in containers called chamasa. Chamasas are symbolically depicted in seals. All three states of Pitrus are indicated in seals. Now, regarding the tiger picture, almost all seals with Pitru depiction show a tiger turning its head and looking at the man seated on the branch. Flesh-eating carnivore, a tiger is a metaphoric comparison to evil spirit called Yatudhan, which is mentioned in Ṛgveda Mandala 10.87. It is called in Ṛgveda as Himsa, which means tiger, and in many stanzas of Ṛgveda describe them as raw flesh eaters. The depiction of tiger in seals is 100% in consonance with the depiction of Ṛgveda. The assistants of evil spirit Yatudhan are twin forms called chimidins, which are depicted as twin tigers or twin priests in the seals. In stanzas of Ṛgveda Mandala 10.87, it is mentioned Pratyagne Mithunadaha Yatudhanam Chimidinam, a prayer to kill both forms, Yatudhan and twin chimidin evil spirits. Some seals also depict the disguise of Yatudhan as tiger with the bull's horn. All the stanzas of Ṛgveda Mandala 10.87 is about prayer to gods to destroy Yatudhan and chimidin spirits. In seals, thus, tiger is a symbolic representation of the twin evil spirit chimidin or Yatudhan disappear when Ushas, the goddess of dawn, makes her appearance. Ushas is called foe-chaser in Ṛgveda Mandala 1.130. Yatudhan evil spirits always try to disturb the resting soul of Pitru by snatching away the offering, and pretas were unable to endure the journey. Many hymns or prayers to Agni and Indra to destroy the evil one by noose. The noose is depicted on tiger's neck as a choker. Now, slide 7, please. I come to the third point, the transportation of preta to cemetery. That is Pitrumedha for a common man and for a priest. In this slide 7, I show the seal picture and the picture of the pushcart with a container to carry fire. The Antyeshti of common man was different from that of a priest. I discussed two seals in this topic, of which the first one is related to that of a common man and the other one to a priest. Now I present the first category, the common man. Focusing on the inscribed part in the seal picture on top. The first two symbols of the seal is a bear. A bamboo frame made to carry the dead body is very clear. The second symbol is Shakata, the pushcart to carry Ṛgvedic fire for cremation. Fire was contained in Nida, the interior part of the cart, which was either circular or square in shape, called Vita. It was one Pradesha, that is 1 foot in height, one Aratni, that means 2 feet broad. The second picture, the supporting picture, gives the exact picture of the card that is depicted in the seal as second symbol. The seal depicts deity personified as a figure of man to be pushing away the 2 tigers. As we know, it is the evil spirit Cremated. The common man had to cover a long way to reach the cemetery, which was far away from the dwelling places. The procession had to rest in between places, for they carried weight, and they always had the fear of evil spirits in dark, taking away the raw flesh while traveling. Yajurveda 2.30 quotes, E Rupani Pratimuncha Mana Asura Santata Swadhaya Charanti. It translates to the wicked spirits or the arrogant demons. Mana Asura is arrogant demons, roam about in different wild forms and like to steal the obligation of fire. O Agni, push them away. In Veda 10th Mandala, 87 says, O Jataveda Agni, with teeth of iron, enkindled with flames, attack the demons, the raw flesh eaters. Ṛgveda Mandala 1.97, 5 to 6 says in praise of Agni that Agni is Vishvatomukha. He can turn his head in all directions. Agni has eyes all around his face and he can look in all directions with his conquering beams of splendor. We can see this concept of eyes around the face in the central figure. He is the killer of demons, and hence Agni fire is used and prayed to prevent the approach of evil spirits in sacrifices. With this input, the central figure or the seal pushing the 2 tigers can be understood that it is Agni in personified form, and he is pushing away the 2 evil spirits, the Cremated. When the man dies in a forest or eaten up by flesh-eating animal, or dies far off from the house, or when the body was not available, the bones, at least a few bones were collected and piled up in a container bar, and the funeral procession marched with this to the funeral grounds. Now coming to Anustarani, slide 8. Slide 8, please. I discuss what Anustarani is. Anustarani was the practice of enveloping the body of the dead in the skin and limbs of a goat. It involved the spreading of omentum and skin of an old animal, a goat, or an old ox on the dead body. Ṛgveda mentions a goat for Agni, which is to be consumed by Agni. The seal picture depicts an old ox and the 3 symbols inscribed in the seal depict. First symbol is a flow for digging the trench. Second symbol is Karshu, the 3 furrows to be dug. And third is the cart with the pot for carrying fire for cremation. Karshu means furrows. It is always 3 furrows, dug and flooded with water at cremation area. The act of taking a purificatory bath after the performance of the ritual was mandatory. In Anustarani, Anu means later or along with in Sanskrit. Starani means the spread. An old animal for Anustarani was sacrificed and the parts were spread on the corpse limb by limb according to the anatomy of the dead body. It was part of Antyeshti. The last rites after death was both partial burning and reclamation of both were observed. This practice was in anticipation that Agni would consume the flesh of the animal and only burn the flesh part of the departed body, but bones will not be charred by Agni. Anustarani animal was also called Rajagari, is an animal that is explained in Vedic mantras as the companion of the dead person. The old animal was even selected before the death of the person and was taken along with the transportation of dead person to Smashana. The Anustarani animal was previously called and compared to Vaitarani river, the remover of sins. Vedas say, the sins of the dead man have been removed by thee. The corpse was addressed as flesh and partial burning of the body was practiced. The performer requests God Agni to consume only the flesh and leave the bones of the body intact, so that it is easier for the dead one to wear a new body on their old frame to endure the journey to Yamaloka. In Ṛgveda, Mandala 10.16, 1 to 13 continues, the performer says to Father as an assurance, I shield thee with the flesh against the flames upon thee. Encompass thee about with fat and marrow of the enemy. Then to Agni he says, burning not quite consuming Agni, let not his body or his skin be scattered. Further he says to Agni, Ajo bhagasta pashatam tapasva. Thy portion is a goat, is bound to the body. With heat consume goat, let thine fierce flame and glowing splendor only burn him and bear this man to the regions of the fires. These are the Vedic explanations for Anustarani practice. Is picturized in scene of old dogs. Many burial excavations of Harappa show human body with bones of small mammals. Now let's see the picture of a burial. Slide 9. Slide 9, please. Many burial sites like Dholavira excavations reveal both animal and human bones together along with the objects used. Some burials were with only fragmented human bones in a pot, and bones of a mammal were seen along with the pot. Now, in this slide 9, I present a picture of the perforated jar. This is called Shatatrinna, and an apparatus called Dhuvana. These are from Rakigari burial. The picture source is from Lason article, journal. The link I went through for burials was the journal Heritage University of Kerala.com, Volume 1, co-authored by Professor Vasant Shinde, has described that the animal bones of a goat and ox were found on the burnt body of the dead man in many burials. At Sanauli, animals like goat were sacrificed in burial 1. Burial 52 and 53 were recovered with an ox along with the dead. These are explained in journal as secondary burials, which is Punardhana according to Grihya Sutras. All the accessories and pots belonging to the person were also buried. Some burials at Sanaule and Dholavira, where both human and animal bones were recovered together, indicates about the practice of Anustarani during Indus Valley civilization. Now, understanding what Punardhana is. Punardhana is the second cremation, the double practice of burning the body partially and later recovering the bones and burying the bones were in vogue as a contemporary faith described in Pitru rituals. After the first partial burning and passing of certain number of days, the burial area was sprinkled with water. The bones were steamed with milk and curds, which Shatatrinna, the perforated jar, which I showed. With the perforated jar, this jar can be seen in many museums. The area was cooled by blowing air with a leather accessory called Dhuvana, symbolically to cool Agni. Both Dhuvana and Shatatrinna are seen in burial pictures. Later, the bones were collected, crushed in pestle and mortar with butter, and re-offered to Agni. Other utensils were thrown away. Powdered bones were mixed with butter and offered to fire. In the above picture, the pot shows broken human bones and goat skin outside the pot. When Punardhana was chosen, whose body could not be retrieved, the procedure was slightly different. This can be seen in some of the burials related to death rituals. Ṛgveda Mandala 10.15, 13 to 14 on dead fathers say, the cremated ones were Agni Dagda, and the bodies not cremated were Anagni Dagda. Even non-cremated ones were offered food with faith so that Agni will grant them their own bodies and they are able to ascend to Pitru. This is explained in Ṛgvedic stanza. Agni knows well the number of fathers who are here and who are absent. The fathers whom we know and whom we know not, except the sacrifice well prepared with portions. When the person after death could not be traced or the bones were missing, a cloth was spread on the river bank and the name of the person was called. Whichever animal came on it was considered as the body of the dead man. Alternately, mere dust from the spot was collected that was placed in the urn to perform death rituals along with food in pots. Thus, some burials were with only pots and some had few bones. One of the Kalibangan burial pits showed only pots and without skeletal bones. This was Antyeshti for a common man. Now, slide 10. Slide 10, please. Now, I discussed the funeral ceremony Antyeshti for Ahitagni, one who maintained sacrificial fire, that is the priest. Now, coming to the second, the burial for Ahitagni. Ahitagni was a man who maintained sacred fire altars all his life, performed Agnihotri rituals, and conducted Agnadeya establishment of fire rituals, meaning igniting the sacred fire in altars. Such persons enjoyed the special privilege, a different type of burial in sitting meditative posture. Or when cremated, cremation was using Garapatya fire as Smashana at the purging place and not Ravyavahana fire. Burial or cremation went according to the choice of the group. The Garapatya altar was re-established with lumps of earth in Smashana for an Ahitagni. The seal depicts the wheel-shaped symbol, the circular Garapatya altar in symbolic form, above the back part of the title as an indication. In the inscription part, the first symbol is of interest, needs a focus because it shows the picture of two men walking, carrying on their shoulders a bamboo pole called Dandakashta and the basket hung to it. Please observe the first symbol. Now, slide 11, please. In slide 11, I give pictures, the transportation of saints in the present period. As a comparison, I present these two pictures of the chief priests of Udupi Math, who expired recently, were carried to Smashana in the present period. The priests, after death, were carried in a basket in sitting posture, hung to a pole, and carried on shoulder by men called preta haraha. The body hung to a bamboo pole called Dandakashta. We can recollect this is depicted as the first symbol in the sea picture. The body was buried in sitting posture for priests who maintained sacred fires all their life and did Agnihotri rituals. A monument was built above the spot of buried bones called Samadhi. Through burial, the dead body of saints who meditated moves from manifest to unmanifest state into the earth. It means body getting back to the plastic garbha, the earth. Now, slide 12, please. In the slide 12, I present Balathal burial. This is a picture of Balathal, and in this valley site located in Vallabhnagar, Tehsil of Udaipur district, Rajasthan. The IBC burial was excavated by V.N. Mishraji. The 2,700 years old samadhi of a priest or a yogi in meditative posture is seen here. This is a Indus Valley site. Now, slide 13, please. The seal depicts tiger occupying 60% of the seal area, and a structure in stone is seen below the mouth of the tiger that looks like a dolmen. Now, understanding what dolmen is, it is interesting to see the structure of a dolmen in seal. The long stone slabs with a capstone is depicted on a rectangular structure below the mouth of the tiger. I have tried to zoom the dolmen part in second picture. The picture shows the depiction of the construction of dolmen in a sea. The depiction of tiger shows how burial grounds were often dug and attacked by flesh-eating animals like tigers. Also, the Yatudan spirit attacked the buried body and snatched away the food that was offered. A strong structure was made above the buried spot to prevent disturbances. The dolmen was like a shelter made of 2 or 3 vertical megalithic stones topped by a horizontal cap slab to protect the burial or the urn containing the mortal remains of an alive person. It is structured as a dolmenal system, a box-shaped burial chamber comparable to samadhi, with an opening to offer food periodically for meals, and which was regularly maintained. The universal megalithic culture was also spread across Indian subcontinent, is traced from Neolithic Stone Age period, and which was also part of Iron Age culture, spreading approximately from 2000 to 1500 BCE. The earliest information on how and why and where a dolmen should be constructed is detailed in a pictorial form in the Abode Indus. Now, coming to fourth point, Astisanchayana, the laying of bones or the rite of reclamation of burnt bones. Now, slide 14, please. Slide 14. Asti means bones, and Sanchayana is the rite of collecting the bones of cremated person. Smashana is the cemetery where the dead body is to be born, or the gathered bones were to be laid for burial. Ṛgvedic Mandala 10 mentions both burial and cremation methods to dispose the dead body, observing certain rituals. Now in slide 14, it is the depiction of a man carrying jars for Astisanchayana. The Pitru is on the tree, and the Yatudan tiger is below the Pitru figure. The seal picture has the depiction of Pitru sitting on the branch of Yamaduma tree in that Achajanu sitting posture on one leg with long arms. Hands are displayed in the typical Pitru Tirtha bifurcation of thumb and forefinger. This is the Pitru Tirtha gesture. The face is very interesting, it has a square frame, which I have zoomed in second picture. Maybe it shows the cremation spot or the spread of momentum of an animal that was spread on face. And horizontal lines are radiating like fire. The facial features are not defined here. The tiger is looking up at the figure. The first symbol of the inscribed part on top represents the picture of a man. He is the performer carrying kumbha, the big earthen jars, as first symbol. Kumbha jars were used to collect the bones of dead ones for reclamation or punardhana from Smashana. Kumbha was also used by the performer to carry water that was needed to be sprinkled on the cremation spot. Now, 10 small circular marks in 3 rows of 3, 3 and 4 are depicted. It indicates the number of nights to be passed at death for collection of bones. Could be after 3rd or 7th or 11th day. Use differ greatly on the date of gathering bones. On 11th day after collecting the bones, The performer proceeds to Smashana with jars and kumbha. The evil spirits, Yatudhan is depicted as a tiger. The tiger in the seal depicts a choker or a noose on the the choker is on the neck. Ṛgveda Mandala 10.27 has reference to this noose. It says, Agni, let thy noose surround the demon Yatudhan, who with his falsehood induced the holy order. Bones were collected in urns having male and female sex marks on urns, according to the gender of the deceased. The performer sprinkles milk mixed with water on it with a shami tree branch. The bones of the burnt body were picked up by an aged woman silently, using only the thumb and the forefinger, was placed in the urn methodically from feet bones first and head in the end. Later, the urn was put into the pit and the lid was placed over the urn called kumbha. And without looking back, they depart, bathe in water of Karshu and offer tarpana. The seal gives information as to when and how the charred bones are to be collected. Now, coming to slide 15. Slide 15, please. Is the seal with silver jar. We have more details on Astisanchayana, the rite of collecting the charred bones in a jar and burying the urn in a pit, now seen in this seal. The seal shows 4 human figures, of which the first one is sitting on a branch with kumbha. He is sprinkling milk and water on the cremation spot. Further, 2 figures are uprooting the trees, and the one in the middle with serrate arms is pushing away the woman. Since the 2 trees are depicted to be uprooted, showing the roots, the only reference of this act, which is for burying a jar containing dead man's bones below the tree, the seal is read as a depiction of Astisanchayana. The silver jar with knobbed lid containing necklace and jewels was found in the excavation of Mohenjo-daro. Of the 3 jar pictures, first picture shows the silver jar, which looks remarkably similar in structure to the one depicted in the seal picture with the lid. Similar earthenware jars were also depicted used by common man. Due to the menace created by animals and Yatudhan evil spirits, people developed modes of hiding the incinerated bones in jar with lid and chose one of the 3 cases which are depicted in the seal, that is in a pit, indicated by the jar itself. It was dug, earth was dug and it was hidden. Second one was on the shami tree, depicted by the tree. And thirdly, at the root of Palasha tree. In the seal, Yatudhan is depicted as tiger and Chimedins as twin figures uprooting the Palasha tree to find the jar, which these spirits dwell actively in cremation area at night and disappear at dawn or in the presence of Agni. Of the 3 human figures standing, the central one is depicted as Vajrabahu with serrated arms. He is the deity Agni. He is trying to destroy the 2 evil spirits who are trying to expose the jar. Now, coming to slide 16. It is the 5th point of our discussion. Smashana, the crematorium for urn burial and cremation. After reaching the cemetery with the dead body, the area for burial was marked in the cemetery. Smashana is the crematorium and the burial pit was dug in 2 shapes. Shatapatha Brahmana prescribes 4-cornered mound facing southeast away from village on a barren land. But Pracha, the Easterners, prescribed a circular shaped mound. In both types, the land was dug at 2 levels. The performer of death ritual is depicted in many scenes, are presented here to be marking the sacred land for pit burial. A plot is dug by the sacrificer in cemetery to dispose the dead one. It is conceived as a sacred place and hence is dug using sacred geometry dimensions. The burial space, both rectangular and oval, was at 2 levels, symbolizing the journey from human garbha at microcosmic level, passing to the womb of earth at macrocosmic level. It is depicted by 2 distinct layers of moving down the passage of the soul from matter to spirit line. An expression of sacred geometry and its manifestation can be seen in various symbols of indices. The last supportive figure is about the concept of going deep. The concept of understanding the symbol is Smashana was derived out of philosophical perspective on the designs which was worked out by scholars under mathematicians. From this supporting picture, it could be derived that this symbol of seals designed like going deeper into the earth represents Smashana. Now, coming to the 6th point, Lostachiti, the depiction of stones lying in excavations of burial sites. Slide 17, please. In the slide 17, we see brick-lined Lostachiti. This is the primary atypical burial at Rakhigal with brick-lined grave architecture. Lostachiti was the rite of piling up of clods of earth of unburnt bricks into a mound over the bones of the deceased. This ritual was to eliminate the disturbances caused by carnivorous animals and the evil spirits. Ṛgveda explains Loshta means a lump of clay serving as a mark of burial. The cremation spots were laid with stones as an identification that people would not step on it, as well as to protect it from evil spirits because dharma grass was spread on it, which the evil spirits usually avoided. Evil spirits were scared of dharma grass. The pebbles or stones used were called Shakata. The sand was used to enclose the place of burial or cremation and also on the jar containing the bones of the deceased. Ṛgveda Mandala 10.18 says about Lostachiti, "Here I raised the rampart of stone for living. Let none other reach its limit." Now, Astisanchayana in a rectangular burial pit. After a specific period, the cremation spot of burning the body was sprinkled with water, swept clean, flowed, and measured with a card. The bones collected in the urn were mixed with butter, and it was arranged according to human anatomy in the furrowed rectangular place. The 2 levels of burial mark was made, and 5 parts of cooked rice and cakes were also buried along with the bones, which are clearly seen in all burial sites. Pillars and posts were made as shelter for beings. Many burial spots of excavated sites show an irregular arrangement of bones also. The outline of burial was marked and surrounded with pedals for demarcation so that people would not step in that area. Now, slide 18. This is the Smashana for burial of a body was dug of a man's side, Purusha, with a raised arm that is 160 inches in length and 96 angula, that is called Yama, in width, and 1 pradesha, that is 12 angula in depth. The beautiful way of gentle burial is described in Ṛgveda Mandala 10.18, 11 to 12. Heed thyself, earth, not press down heavily. Afford him easy access, gently tending him. Cover him as a mother wraps her skirt about her child. O earth, let 1,000 clods remain above him. Now, coming to the last topic, double burials. Slide 19, please. In slide 19, we can see the picture of burials of bones that were roughly arranged in anatomical way after partial burning. That is, the bones were collected and rearranged. When a man dies, the wife of the deceased also observed certain social rituals. Before setting up the fire on the pyre and cremated, the wife was made to lie down on the left side of the corpse. Probably a choice was given to the widow that either to end her life or complete the ritual of lying by the side of the body for a while and then come out. Many burials are with two skeletons. Their heads were placed towards north. The chief mourner would address the dead by saying, "O mortal, this woman, your wife, wishing to be joined to you in the future world, is lying the corpse. She has always observed the duties of a faithful wife. Grant her your permission to abide in the world and relinquish your will to your descendants." Now, slide 20. Slide 20 is again another double burial where foot part was missing at the time of discovery. The second picture shows bangles on the hand of the skeleton. The woman had to fetch the gold that was placed in the dead body's hand, which she could use for her progeny. The younger brother or the mourner or even the servant will hold the left hand of the woman and ask her to come away. Ṛgveda Mandala 10.18.8 says, "Rise, come unto the world of life, O woman. Come, he is lifeless by whose side thou liest. Come to the world of living away from the husband and become the wife of him who holds thy hand and is willing to marry thee." While the recitations of these rituals was described in Rit and Atharva Veda, the ritual part was compiled in Yajur Veda and Sutras. When the ceremony of lighting the funeral fire by the widow was completed, she was asked to bring away the gold from the hand of the dead. The mantra that was recited by the widow was, "For the promotion of thy wealth and glory as a Brahman woman, I take the gold from the hand of the dead. In this region we dwell prospering and overcoming all assailants." After all these rituals, fire was filled by her to the corpse. The kravya, the fire, was requested not to disfigure the body or overcharge him. These convey a significant aspect of the social status of a woman in the course of cremation of her husband and the future choice for a widow getting remarried. Now, coming to conclusion, every religion born or adopted leaves its imprint among the followers in the country, and especially the death rituals are unique to every religion. Even to this day, Hindus are very much the followers of Vedic Gnanadhara. In Vedic rituals, the yajna, the same Vedic mantras are recited in the same meter that existed then. Shraddha, post-death rituals are mostly the same as depicted in scenes, and is definitely the unique pattern that does not exist in any other part of the world. The imprints of Vedic practices are practiced only in India. This supports the logic that Vedic literature was compiled by sages, the group of high intellectuals in the land of Bharat. The followers of Vedic Dharma were addressed as Aryas, the refined ones. The people of Bharata are the followers of Vedic religion that existed 5,000 years back and proves to be a living and continuum of ancient Vedic traditions. Thank you all for giving me your time. My thanks to Dr. Vivek Bhatnagarji for supporting me in the course of my lecture. Now, slide 21. I have published these books on the Vedic approach to decipher the symbols of Indus. I have traced all three categories of yajnas and the subcategories which are depicted in seals as coded symbols.